The year 1995 is a huge turd, widely regarded as the worst year for wrestling that has ever happened. Houses were down across the board, creative had reached its cartoonish nadir, and after a series of scandals, the public perception of professional wrestling was in the toilet. Over the next 2 years, WWE would begin to climb the steep hill out of the pit, but smack dab in the middle of the nightmare was SummerSlam 1995, which featured Mabel in the main event. That is the state of things. Thank God the Monday Night Wars are just about to begin. I'm Plumpy from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 fascinating facts about SummerSlam 95. Number 10, it was the first SummerSlam to take place on a Sunday. I know, right? Mental! WrestleMania, other than the second incarnation, always aired on Sundays. Most Royal Rumbles were Sundays, save for the Saturday editions in 1991 and 1994. Survivor Series started out on Thanksgiving night, a Thursday, before being moved to Thanksgiving Eve in 1991. From 1988 through 1994, SummerSlam was aired in US on a Monday. That changed in 1995 when the event was moved to Sunday nights. See, the reasoning for Monday was that in those days, Monday Night Telly would be reserved for 2 weeks in late August, early September for US Open tennis coverage, so airing SummerSlam on a pay-per-view on Monday could help fill that void. Gosh, it's all so interesting! Number 9, the final episode of the Wrestling Challenge aired that day. Before Monday Night Raw changed the way WWE produced its weekly programming, there were 4 television tentpoles that moved Vince's crazy storylines along. All-American Wrestling and Primetime Wrestling aired on Sundays and Mondays respectively, while the more squash match-oriented Superstars and Wrestling Challenge aired in syndication on Saturday and Sunday afternoons. By the summer of 1995, All-American and Primetime were dead and buried, and Challenge was next on the chopping block, airing for the final time on the day of SummerSlam 1995 on August 27th, concluding a whopping 9-year run. Number 8, WWE cut the price of the pay-per-view. Dwindling crowds dealt a heavy blow to the financially troubled WWE in 1995, and the roster was squeezed down to less than 40 full-time wrestlers. In comparison, between Raw and SmackDown, there are over 100 active wrestlers. McMahon needed to find ways to entice the company to want to spend their hard-earned dollars on Mabel versus Diesel. How did he do that? He decided to lower the cost of SummerSlam 1995 from $27.50 to $25. Holy shit, what are you gonna do with those 250 cents? SummerSlam 1995 did worse on pay-per-view than the 1994 version. The number of purchases cut by nearly a third, from 300,000 to 205,000. When you factor in the price change, SummerSlam 1995 made 1.5 million less than its predecessor. It's a bad SummerSlam, guys. Number 7, a tag title match was dropped from the card. You know you got a bad tag scene when your champ's only appearance at SummerSlam is to hype up a match for the following month. Original plans were for Owen and Yoko to face the men they defeated at the prior In Your House, Lex Luger and the British Bulldog, aka the Allied Powers. Bulldog turned heel in mid-August in order to align with Owen and Yoko, so logic would dictate that his turn was originally intended to occur at SummerSlam, right? So what happened? See, there were problems in WWE. There were rumblings in the undercard. Guys were miffed about the decline in their payoffs. That's because house shows were being cancelled because no one bought tickets in 1995. And so McMahon decided to boost morale by putting lesser used guys in a spot to make some serious pay-per-view bucks on SummerSlam. The Smokin' Guns and the Blue Brothers got a match instead of the tag champions on account of their solid efforts at recent house shows. Sadly, the match was a bit Number 6, Kane's first televised match. Despite not wrestling since December, vote Kane for mayor or he'll burn you to death, Glenn Jacobs had been employed by WWE for 22 years, which is a stupid long time. Jacobs' first televised WWE match took place more than 2 full human decades ago at SummerSlam 95, but it wasn't as Kane. See, at King of the Ring 95, Bret Hart had shoved Jerry Lawler's infected foot into his own mouth. Hope you're not eating watching this, giving him an oral disease that prompted a trip to the dentist. Dr. Isaac Yankem, DDS. Glenn Jacobs played this dentist who entered the sound of a dentist's drill, which is actually a nifty little heat magnet. Yankem battled Bret Hart on the pay-per-view, losing by DQ, and after that gimmick flopped, he'd be repackaged as fake Diesel after Kevin Nash left for WCW, which is like taking a turd, repackaging it as a turd, but that turd is in the shape of Kevin Nash's face. Number 5, HBK was supposed to fight Sid. The story was all there. The night after WrestleMania 11, Shawn Michaels blamed his Mania defeat on his heavy, Sid, which led to the master and ruler of the world powerbombing him 3 times. That began Michaels' babyface turn, and later in the summer, HBK captured the Intercontinental Championship, but his business with Sid had not yet finished. WWE actually announced on television that Michaels and Sid were signed to face off at SummerSlam for Michaels' IC belt. However, WWE internally decided that, hey, you know the SummerSlam we've got? This might just accidentally be a big pot of poo. Knowing that they needed a show-stealing mid-card match to give fans a reason to part with their cash, WWE announced Michaels Razor 2 Ladder Boom Boogaloo for SummerSlam, a match some have argued is, dodgy finish aside, even better than their WrestleMania 10 original. Number 4, the ladder couldn't be used as a weapon. 12 days before SummerSlam, McMahon called Michaels and Ramon in for a difficult meeting. He had some rough news because of a new violence code that WWE is now adhering to. Neither man could use the ladder as an actual weapon at SummerSlam. McMahon stood firm when the wrestlers tried to argue with him. No, 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 lobbyist groups say no. The night before the pay-per-view, Michaels and Ramon reportedly stayed up into the wee hours of the night trying to piece together a sexy match despite the restrictions. It was apparently Hunter Hearst Helmsley, whatever happened to him, that pointed out that they could still jump off the ladder and have each other be thrown into it as though it was the corner turnbuckles. The match ultimately ended up being a success, but the most vicious attack was Razor letting the ladder drop onto Michaels' leg, which, given the tight circumstances, even that was chancing it. Number 3, Mabel injured Diesel. Sometimes it feels like we're dogpiling on Mabel. Sure, he was rubbish, sure he didn't draw, and sure he actually injured a number of top stars, jeopardizing the future of Vince McMahon's company. I don't have a counter-argument, those are the facts. Coming into SummerSlam, Kevin Nash was in dodgy shape. Such is the life of the working touring champion. His lower back in particular was giving him problems. According to Nash, he asked Mabel to take it easy on him. Mabel agreed, and true to his word, he rolled over the WWE champion onto his stomach and performed a standing sit-down splash onto Diesel's lower back, causing a huge amount of pain. According to Nash, he could barely feel his legs in the immediate aftermath, and he verbally let Mabel have it. Nash can actually be heard, listen carefully, yelling, "What the f*** are you doing? F***." That, however, was nothing compared to number 2, Vince tried to fire Mabel after the show. When Diesel made it back to the locker room following the main event, he reportedly confronted Mabel, screaming obscenities at the apologetic super heavyweight after, the whole nearly killed me spine thing. According to Nash, McMahon was even angrier than that, and once the irate boss made it to the back following the pay-per-view, you can just bet that all sorts of juicy 4-letter words parted ways from his mouth. It was so bad that Vince was reportedly about to give Mabel his official WWE release when Nash was reportedly the one who talked the boss out of it, cooling off enough to realize it was a mistake and not an act of malice. Mabel's career was saved. Then he injured The Undertaker's orbital bone with an errant strike in an October house show, and Mabel will be released before Christmas. Though he would be brought back for the 1996 Royal Rumble as a one-off just to help fill out the wafer-thin roster. And number 1, it was Lex Luger's last televised WWE appearance before his defection. When Luger made his missed time run-in during the WWE Championship match at SummerSlam, he was working without a contract and was not happy with his diminished role in the company. While it looked like feuds with Mabel and Bulldog were imminent, Luger knew different, that he was a mere week away from leaving McMahon high and dry. Luger had taken secret meetings with Eric Bischoff, my dad, in the weeks before the proposed launch date of WCW Nitro, September the 4th, 1995. Luger wanted to come aboard, but Eric Bischoff, my dad, imposed some strict conditions, including a promise not to tell anyone he was leaving WWE, especially not Vince McMahon. Luger kept his mouth shut, as was the deal, and worked the next week's worth of WWE shows, finishing up with a house show in St. John, New Brunswick, just 24 hours before Nitro's debut show. He flew to Minneapolis, where he would stun the viewing world, McMahon especially, when he popped up on Nitro, kicking off the Monday Night Wars with a bang.